In every generation, two Prose Bros are born, chosen to watch every episode of Buffy and tell you what they think about them. This is the Prose Bros Visit Sunnydale, bitches.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Prose Bros Visit Sunnydale. I am Geoff.
I'm Eddie Cruz.
And today we are doing Some Assembly Required, the second episode in the second season.
It is, yeah. It's a Frankenstein.
Yeah.
It's Frankenstein. We just watched Frankenstein on Buffy. It was good. Made Bride of Frankenstein, right? The sequel.
Yeah. And I want to argue a little bit later about whether or not this is a Monster of the Week or not. It technically is, but it's a well done one.
Yeah, definitely the first time we see the Scoobies come together as the group that we know and love from here on in.
I would argue that thematically what happens in this episode is very important to the overall story arc to the rest of the season.
You're, of course, talking about Angel wearing a khaki jacket.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so much khaki in this episode.
Too much khaki.
So we get Xander. He's wearing khaki, right?
Yeah.
Xander's khakied out. Angel is khakied out. And
I'm just going to assume Giles is khakied out.
He's tweeted out. Motherfucker's tweeted out.
Yeah. That guy wears tweed like I wear socks every day.
Tweed, not tweeted like we're in Twitter.
Anyway, what do you think about this episode, Jeffrey?
I liked it the first time I saw it. I didn't know, well, at the time it was a season 2 episode. I always assumed it was season 3, just mixed in somewhere, but liked it then. I like it now. It's not the greatest, but getting out of the first season and having an episode like this, which is a neat Monster of the Week, I like it.
Yeah, the bar is set pretty low right now, and this episode just hopped right over it. Yeah, I think that you kind of feel that everybody's more maybe at home now, maybe because it got picked up for 24 episodes in a new season, and the show's got good traction, and everything's on the up and up. Maybe everybody feels a little bit more comfortable now than they did in the first season, where they had like $20 and a rock to create the show.
Crack rock.
And it got them through a lot, man. That was a good crack rock.
Lasted a long time.
Yeah, lasted a long time. Yeah, I agree. I liked it.
So you want to tell us what the fuck this episode's about?
Yeah, absolutely. It starts with the science fair, and Cordelia is in need of a project. She decides to go with tomato. Is it a fruit or a vegetable?
Which is an awesome science fair project.
That actually happened a couple of times, right?
Usually, yes or no questions do not make great science fair projects.
Absolutely. So you find out that not only is this happening, but her boyfriend just recently died in a horrific rock climbing accident.
What was her old boyfriend?
Her old boyfriend. And also on top of this, a bus crashes and a bunch of cheerleaders die. So you cut to the school, and these two guys are in the hallway. One of them has a camera. He's taking a picture of pretty much every girl in the school, or at least when he actually develops them, you find out that it's actually just Willow and Cordelia and Buffy. So he's taking pictures of girls, and this other guy is asking him to stop in an annoyed kind of way.
And the girls think, or at least Cordelia thinks,
they're just being creepy.
Well, creepy and like journalism students, something like that. Yeah. Like it's something that he should be doing. He's just not taking pictures for the sake of it.
But he totally is also not doing that. Yeah, he's not taking pictures for the sake of it. He's taking pictures so he can take them back, develop them, and show them to Frankenstein so he can pick his future bride. because all those girls that died inside of the bus were sewn together to create a Bride of Frankenstein. So you find out that, what's his name?
There's Daryl, who's Frankenstein, Chris, his brother, and then Eric is the little creepy dude.
So you find out that Chris was able to bring back his brother after the accident. Cordelia's ex-boyfriend?
Yeah, Daryl is her ex. The weird thing is that I don't think they ever really explain how he's bringing back
They don't.
his brother.
That was probably for the best, right?
It's maybe it would have gotten, I don't know if too heavy is the right phrase to use, or maybe they just didn't want to bring it up.
Can I tell you also, the original Frankenstein book didn't really explain how Frankenstein was brought back to life either.
Great point.
Yeah, so maybe they just thought, that's the best way to do it.
And I was thinking more along the mythology of Buffy, where you have these sorcerers, wizards, witches. You have all sorts of different ways. Vampires, like,
Yeah.
you know, you throw a fucking rock in Sunnydale, and there's a student there that can bring somebody back from the dead.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And also, this saves a lot of money in their budget. Yeah. So you start getting a sense of Cordelia back into the overall group. And she kind of actually takes her role inside the group, right?
It's like where she's picking up from episode 12, the season finale of season 1.
Yeah, exactly. So she's not just making fun of them with her other friends. Now she's making fun of them across a desk.
Can I ask you how you feel about that?
I really, I like her. I think that having her inside the group is nice. In the first season, they really set her up to be a horrible person. And by the end of it, they kind of gave her a little bit of a humanizing quality by making her, a little bit more than one-dimensional.
And you see it in this one with that ending moment with Xander and Cordelia. Mm-hmm. But that library scene kind of bugs me as far as the writing goes. She goes in, right, to find out about her science fair project. And Willow, funny jokes, like, it's a fruit. So she goes in, and you could say that, oh, well, is she just an idiot? She doesn't actually know. But there's not really a purpose for her to go in other than that, and there's not a purpose for her to stay. So is she starting to like Buffy and all the other Scoobies? Or does she no longer have any friends? Or why is she there? Because she's still a cheerleader.
If she's coming in my opinion, it's really kind of a cry for help, and it's kind of fucked up because everybody in this episode treats her like shit the entire episode. They're not welcoming at all. And if she opened up in the last season to tell Buffy that she feels alone in front of a crowded group of people, and then she shows up to the library to talk to them, and she starts saying things, and they give her like sarcastic pats on the back, Giles does, and everybody else goes, it's a fruit, and just totally turn her away, then maybe the Scoobies are just a fucked up group of people.
They're just as bad as Cordy and all her friends.
Everybody else, yeah. There's no difference. At the end of the episode, she comes up to ask Xander, or tells Xander thank you, and he says, we're talking here.
Which is fucked up because just the last episode, it's such a big deal that Buffy didn't ever thank him for saving her. So that should be on the forefront of his mind. And when this beautiful girl / 28, 32, 40-year-old woman comes up to him and says, thank you so much, this is what he wanted from Buffy, and he's too much of an idiot or too much of an asshole to even acknowledge that. Well, that's fucked up.
Good segue back into the synopsis, because halfway through this episode, you hear him making a speech about how people want what's unattainable. And so when Cordelia comes up at the end of the episode and says like, oh, thank you very much, she's very attainable. He doesn't want that. He wants the chase. Anyway, so getting back to the middle of the episode.
But not the Cordelia chase.
Not the Cordelia chase. Damn! We need to get a drummer in here. So going back to the episode, you get Buffy and Willow suspect of what's going on as far as bodies missing. Giles kind of overlooking them and lusting over Miss Calendar.
Yeah, he's not even
really,
focused on what's going on in this episode.
Really, when it comes down to it, Angel is not a hero so far. Giles is not very useful as a watcher so far. Xander was kind of a dick in season 1, and he's kind of still being a dick, but...
I feel like he's more so a dick this season so far.
Really? Well, yeah. We'll get back to that at the end of the synopsis. The little dude tells Chris that the body that they actually sewed together is going bad, and they need a head. So they look at these pictures, and Daryl looks at them, picks Cordelia out, and they decide that they need to kill her. Chris says he can't do it. He drops out. Daryl and the little guy go out. What's the little guy's name?
Eric.
Go out to kill Cordelia. They fail. Buffy stops them, and then they go back to the house. They actually end up kidnapping Cordelia, tie her up to the chair. Buffy shows up again and sets the place on fire. The big Frankenstein monster is in there with the sewn up girl body without a head and starts crying. Xander actually saves Cordelia's life using a stretcher to get her out of the room. And Willow does really nothing. Giles really does nothing, right?
No, I don't think they do much.
They're not very useful. And then Cordelia comes up to Xander and thanks him, and he acts like a dick, like we said. But I will bring up the fact that so far, Xander has saved 2 people's lives, and Angel has saved 0 people's lives. The other life that Xander saved was Buffy's.
Yeah, so we're talking about Angel and saving lives. He's pretty ineffectual at both saving lives and really killing vampires so far in this entire series.
Yeah, dude, and he's wearing a khaki fucking jacket this episode.
That, you can't be a badass and kill vampires and save the day in khaki.
No, the only thing you can do is hand me a Weathers original. Weathers or
Werther's?
Werther's original.
I don't know. Those are disgusting. It's a butterscotch candy, right?
Yeah,
that's disgusting.
The only thing you can do with a khaki jacket is hand me a butterscotch candy.
Yeah, but it's pretty crazy that he's. I mean, I guess we don't know this, but he will eventually turn into this big vampire savior. But every time he tries to help Buffy, it's so ineffectual. He got hit with a fucking shovel the first scene.
Yeah. Also, Return of the Smirk.
Yeah.
He's smirking again. Motherfucker.
Smirked at Cordelia.
Smirked. Oh, my God, dude. That smirk. Fucking kill him for that.
I think there's a reason for that smirk. And this is why I think that this, again, is a Monster of the Week episode. But it establishes certain things that will add to the story arc, which is the relationship between Buffy and Angel. And you see a lot of that. The first scene in the graveyard with Angel where they're talking about Xander, of all people. And the whole dance scene in the bronze gets brought up. It's clearly still on Angel's mind.
Might as well be fucking him on the dance floor.
Yeah, which is funny. He totally did not come prepared to fight vampires, which may be the reason he's so ineffectual at it. He came to talk to Buffy about that, and he just happened to know she would be at one of the many cemeteries.
Well, yeah, the one that they call many.
Yeah, and you see, so that was one of the scenes, but going back to the smirking was this jealousy that everybody has. Angel has this jealousy with Xander now, and there's also a jealousy with Cordelia from Buffy.
Yeah.
So yeah, you see that scene in the library where Buffy and Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think, is a great actress because she emotes very well, and you can tell that she's bothered by Cordelia leaving with Angel. And even Angel seems kind of reluctant, like he gives her this look like, is it okay? But of course, Cordelia wants to go to the big leagues, so, she's so desperate for the big leagues at this point, she's going to take fucking khaki jacket wearing Angel.
Yeah, man. Not even the velvet jacket. This ain't date night.
Dude, he does not look good.
No, he looks bad. He looks bad.
Yeah.
He looks bad. Like bad vampire. Would you say that because of the love triangle that's going on here, this episode is incredibly important to the rest of the full arc of everything?
I don't know. I don't remember it
Where
being...
do you think this episode falls as far as importance?
I don't remember it being super important, but watching again, there's certain things that pop up. I was like, whoa, it's establishing it. It's not super important. Like if you skip this one, you won't be totally lost, but you get that sense, and they're still trying to make up for some of the stuff Buffy did in the episode when she was bad. And also, I like what they did with Giles. They could have done a little bit more, but in the first season, he's always talking about Buffy not taking her responsibilities seriously and not necessarily pining after boys, but he gets mad at her for wanting to go on a date. And this whole episode, he's so focused on Jenny Calendar, he can't do his fucking job. He did nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get the same exact thing when you get Wesley. It's kind of cool because they portray humans as human. When somebody doesn't have somebody to pine over and somebody else does, they're jealous and they usually comment on that. You're spending too much time with that girl. You're spending too much time with that boy. But we're all human when it comes down to it. We all want to spend time with boys and girls.
Yeah, and I like the fact that people can be hypocritical.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can say one thing and do something else.
Even the smartest ones in the room.
Now, do you think that was weird that it's something the audience is meant to pick up? Because Buffy and Willow, who's supposed to be one of the smartest people, if not the smartest person on the show, she wasn't really even in the show. She didn't do much. She could have brought that up and drove that point home, but is that necessary? And would that have confused everything else that was going on?
I feel like this was Cordelia's episode to join the group, and there'll be another episode where Willow kind of ends up, but yeah, she was really sparse in this episode. They could have just erased her from this episode completely and it wouldn't have mattered.
It almost feels like if I were writing this episode, I would have not put her in there at all.
Yeah.
And if somebody would have said like, oh, where's Willow? I was like, oh, she's out sick. That's it. One line, and then you don't have to worry about her being there because she's doing nothing. Can I ask you again how you feel about the whole Frankenstein-ness of this episode?
I'm kind of over that story because I've had to read so many iterations of it. So that's not my favorite story. I'm glad that they brought it in because it really feels like they're delving into a good, array of different things. Especially this season. We're going to see Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde soon and some other stuff. But I'm glad they brought it in, but I'm not in love with that, really.
Well, we had a discussion during the episode about that, and I kind of agree. It's like most things they're doing, it's overdone. How they did it for the most part, I enjoy. But we were talking about why Chris couldn't just bring back any girl.
Oh my goodness, yeah. All right, so I didn't get this. This is one thing that really, really bothered me about this is Daryl isn't a whole mixture of people put together or sewn together. He's who he was brought back to life.
Well, I thought he was,
piece.
right? He had that random, was it rock climbing accident?
Yeah.
And so I guess his brother Chris just stitched him up himself. He's not a collection of other people.
No, he just stitched back up and brought back to life.
Okay.
So then this whole bus full of cheerleaders die, and Chris collects him and stitches a body together, but is missing a head, right? So he decides, or they decide, Eric and Daryl decide, that they have to kill somebody to cut off their head and put it on this like weak old body that's made up of different people's parts. Why not just kill somebody and then bring them back to life?
Well, I have several things to say about that, and I think you're right. They don't really
they don't
work this out in the episode too much. But Eric, the creepy little dude, clearly just wanted to kill somebody all
Yeah,
along.
that guy really wanted to kill somebody.
With Chris,
And probably have sex with their corpse.
maybe.
Probably already had sex with that like headless corpse.
I mean, the way he's like
Talking,
Yeah.
he calls the corpse his girlfriend.
Yeah, definitely creepy little dude. But Chris, Daryl's brother, Frankenstein's brother, didn't want to kill anybody. It was just happenstance that car crash happened, and maybe he couldn't use all these different body parts. So he stitched them all together to create this perfect girl, which I think of it as one kind of like weird science-y, which I wish they would have done more with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I feel they were trying to say about bringing like the Frankenstein's bride into the story. You couldn't just bring somebody back to life. It had to have been on par visually with Daryl, who looks Frankenstein-y.
Yeah, well, why not just get Cordelia and cut her up a little bit, put some staples in her, and then bring her to life?
See, and I agree, but now it's starting to seem
so much more work to sew them together and keep. Number one, they didn't keep that body on ice, and if you don't keep a body on ice, I mean, you're gonna get a stinky body.
See, and how much are they saying about the superficial nature of high school and football players that you can't just bring somebody back to life? It has to be the perfect, like,
combination.
Yeah.
Or like,
'Cause
maybe they're all about like quantity and not quality.
Because originally when I was thinking about this episode, I thought for whatever reason that Daryl, Frankenstein, something happened and they had sewn different parts, or he was a collection of different
they
parts.
just said it was a rock climbing accident.
See, well, my version of the story makes more sense,
But
as far as writing. It's wrong.
It didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen. But if it did, it'd be better because that makes more sense to have people on par with each other.
Well,
and
that's like
why
Frankenstein.
Yes, and that's... Well, I was like, it's Frankenstein. That's where they're going.
Yeah.
And they kind of... I guess they fucked that up.
Maybe they fucked that up, or maybe we're reading too much into this story. And I think it's more horrific if they do it that way. So that makes sense. Maybe I'm just being too hard on it. At the same time, also, you can really see that Joss Whedon perfected this whole idea of the perfect woman, or creating a woman, in season 6 with the trio. So when you go from this one to season 6, he really got it down by then.
See, and if I were to do this, if I were to write for Buffy, I would have loved to seen this episode later on and have more of a weird science 80s
Yeah.
feel. That could have worked way better than what they did. I still really like the episode. I mean, it's not like fucking amazing.
No.
But
It's still Monster of the Week, and it's still early on, and they're still kind of not parroting it. They're still alluding to major monsters that are already represented in pop culture. So once you get over that, and they all do that. I mean, once again, I always bring it up. It's Supernatural. It's another show. And they do the same thing. They go week by week, Monster of the Week, cover all the originals, and then get into their own story about season 3. It's the same thing this show did. It's the same thing most Supernatural shows do.
Supernatural. But this is like the original.
This is the OG. This
Yeah.
made Supernatural. Hey, Dean, you might be Red Hood now, but it's all because of Willow. She's the original Red Hood.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
You like that? You like that?
That's-
All right. About that all back together.
Yeah.
Where were we?
We're going off
We're
off the
we're
deep end.
shooting. We're shooting at those stars.
Yeah, so I have a couple more things to say about this episode. Do you have anything else you want to say right now? Or you want me just to
Death count?
finish off? No, well,
No.
before the death count.
I'm fresh out of things to say.
One thing I loved about this was Cordelia's scream seemed up in the forefront of the episode constantly. Like, was she that much of a screamer last season?
I think they probably found out that she could scream really, really well.
They made her like
maybe.
a mini scream queen.
Yeah.
So I thought that was super cool. I don't know if you noticed the score, any of the music?
It was pretty damn good.
Yeah, it was
I
way
enjoyed it.
different than last season. And this episode in particular...
It's like they paid somebody this season.
Yeah, or at least paid him a little more.
Yeah.
Did it feel like kind of the old school 1920s Frankenstein, Dracula monster sound?
No, I don't think so. It felt kind of weird. There were a couple of scenes that I didn't like. Some scenes were a little too dark until they had like maybe a nighttime filter or something that made it weird. The suit was very latexy to me. Not in a bad way. It didn't seem so cheesy or campy. It did seem pretty cheesy compared to today's standards, but
I was okay with it. I wasn't
yeah.
instantly like, oh, fuck that. That looks stupid.
Yeah. I mean, it did its purpose and it wasn't cheesy. And Frankenstein wasn't dumb. He was just horny.
I mean, literally.
Why is Frankenstein always so horny?
It's not about being horny. It's
Well, not
about
the original.
relating
And not
to somebody.
I mean, Frankenstein's monster. Whatever. Not relating to somebody.
It is. That's
It's
what
about
it is.
connection.
It is, yes. Hey, so how did you feel about Xander this episode?
Oh, he got me rock hard.
No.
Sorry. He was good. He was good.
He kind of pissed me off. He was a little too smarmy for my liking.
It was weird because he felt more believable this season, like so far, like than because the first season it's like, oh, he's the every guy, but he was kind of rapey. Now it's like he's just kind of a dick, and I like that more. It's more straightforward. Like he's not getting what he wants, so he's being kind of
He's
bitchy
being all
about
bitter.
It. Yeah,
I like him less. I think I'm hopping off the Xander bandwagon.
and
I
I'm
think
hopping on
You hopped back on.
because I know what's coming, and I'm like, all right, well, he'll eventually get over this. But in the first season, I'm like, dude, you turn into a hyena and try to rape Buffy.
Dude, and he's not getting any play with Buffy, so he's like making all these snarky ass comments about Angel. The fuck?
Yeah, but Angel kind of deserves them. I mean, what has Angel done? Xander saved Buffy's life, and then Xander saved Cordelia's life.
Would you be that dude that needs to talk shit about like?
Dude,
the other...
I have been that dude.
You are that dude.
Not anymore. I have a daughter now, so you know I'm pretty grown up. Oh man, that was worth the whole thing. That's actually why I had a kid, for that joke.
Yeah, just for the joke.
Just for that joke. All right, over.
Your baby's mama had to carry your child, which I'm sure wasn't a small child to carry for 9 months, so you could make a joke.
That's incredibly true. Hey Jeff, what time is it?
Is this a real question? Because I don't think it is.
No, it's a real question. What time is it?
Almost 10?
No. What time is it?
What time is it?
What time is it?
I think I know what time it is, but I think you're going to tell me what time it is right now.
I think it's time for Eddie's dialogue corner. It's not a monologue today. We started doing dialogues, right?
Yeah, you started to really hype that, and it fucking died like a motherfucker.
Yeah, that was. What
happened there?
I hit my 40s halfway through that sentence. Went straight to the flavor of love age of this hype man's life.
So you're gonna set up the scene?
Okay, let's talk about what's going on in this scene. We got a monologue. Not really. We just have a really funny sentence, and that we really wanted to push.
What's a dialogue?
It's a dialogue, and you have Daryl, who is trying to convince his brother Chris to create a woman for him by killing Cordelia.
I thought he was trying to convince his brother that he's not actually a 35-year-old man with a beer gut pretending to be a dead high school football player.
This isn't Face Off 2. That was a bad joke. Yeah, so the character that plays Daryl really looks fucking old. He looks kind of like the older brother in Home Improvement.
Yeah?
But like age appropriately, like today. He looks like that guy today, which that guy would be 50 or something, right?
I think he's around our age.
Don't call me 50, you son of a bitch. Anyway, so he has this great dialogue. And so Jeff's going to be Chris in this, and I'm going to be Daryl. It's after Eric takes the pictures, but before he hangs them up so that Daryl can pick what head he wants on his.
Yeah, and Chris is really having a big dilemma about killing.
Crisis of conscience, a conscience of crisis.
Yep. Yes, sir.
He's having a problem with this. So, here we go. Chris, you've always been smarter than me. You were always the brains. You're the only one that can help me now. 3rd and long, seconds to go. Where do you throw? Where do you throw?
Number 5. Daryl's gonna drive.
Help me, brother. That sounded really bad. Let's do one more.
That was awful. Do you want to hear about the death count? So this one was a weird one.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 vampire death
Okay.
early on, first scene with Buffy. Killed a vampire. And the only other one that's on screen is Daryl.
Is that a re-death?
I mean, if you kill a vampire's already dead. So
count,
that counts
right?
as a death. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So it's like, like a vampire zombie death. There were 3 other deaths that were off screen, but they just talk about them. So we didn't see them. I don't know. I'm going to go with 2 deaths.
I'm going to agree with you. 2 deaths.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah. Number 5, Daryl's going to drive.
I think that's our new catchphrase. I think we just found it. Number 5, Daryl's going to drive.
Yep. Hello and welcome to another Prose Bros Visit Sunnydale. I am Geoff.
And I'm Eddie Cruz.
Wow.
You want to do that one more time?
Yes. I'll just... Do you want me just to start from here?
Oh, yeah, please.
All right. Fuck, man. Is it all out?
Yeah, it's gone.
Okay.